Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time with the Adapt 2030 channel. Quick update here, Hawaii. Starting to fountain as it cracks through. Look at the previous eruptions and lava flows. Up in Norway, mind-bending greens morph into rarely seen, if ever, pinks, surprising guides. If you remember the Tonga eruption memory hold, largest water vapor ejecta ever recorded, and suddenly 1 inch per hour. Rainfall seems to be the new norm in the deserts. 3 years worth of rain in a single storm. Italy, over a month worth of rain in a single storm. Southeast US, many months worth of snow. Must be particulates in the atmosphere. But Stromboli waking up saying hello. And a blast from the past. Do you know where this fountain is emerging from? Quick answer. Same crater that it's erupting now, just 63 years later. I'll link to everything in the description box below because the videos today are outstanding. Gonna head over, map of Hawaii, the Big Island, Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, the Rift Zone. And what's so interesting in this map, if you do stop the video and pause it, each individual eruption down the flanks, whichever direction that may take, listed by year of the lava flow. In center, right there, 1984, next to Keauhou, is the fountain that you just saw in the very first image. Where will it go this time? Unknown, but it does look like the caldera will fill, eventually spilling over an unknown. The USGS has no information for us, but some spectacular images of lava spilling forth from the crust of our planet. Thermal imaging here, looking at the temperatures, that's degrees Celsius. Frontal edge right there, yellow is the hottest as we move back toward the purples and blues, cooler in those regions. But as of this video, the entire base of the caldera is now liquid, looking something straight out of dinosaur times. And if we look at the fountaining, we get a small glimpse of how much activity is truly there. The vastness of it is really hard to take in with a single camera. But if we go to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park Service and the USGS giving us these images here as rivers of lava make their way with gravity down slope. I'd also like to see this in a nighttime view to watch that red moving through as a river. So imagine you have to get up for work to go check out this scene. I'd be up early, I think. Volcanologists trying to add a few more data points to our understanding of volcanism, but I think they're skipping the electromagnetism triggers, just saying. But how fast can lava travel if it really starts accelerating downslope? About this fast. This is a real-time image of lava moving. That's terrifying. Imagine if it spilled out. Those people would have no chance of escape. Did you know that the aging process starts as early as the age of 25? After that, you start to lose 1% of your collagen supply every year. By the time you're 45, you'll have lost 30% of your naturally produced collagen. Try this at-home test to see if you have enough collagen. Pinch your skin. If it immediately bounces back, then you have enough collagen in your skin. If it doesn't bounce back or fold back immediately, then you might need a collagen supplement. And make sure you pick one that has hydrolyzed collagen or collagen peptides. This ensures it'll be absorbed by your body. Multi-collagen helps rejuvenate your body from the inside out with 5 supercharged types of collagen your body needs for optimal health. And that's why thousands of Americans trust and use it every day. Taste, inspect, and judge multi-collagen risk-free. If it doesn't live up to your expectations, you have a full 60 days. You'll get a complete refund, no questions asked. Take 51% off your order, and you're also going to receive some free bonuses. Head over to healthwithadapt2030.com or click on that link in the description box below. And now on with the video. Now during the same time that these eruptions were happening, something magnificent in the skies above. This is Tromsø in Norway. Pink auroras, rarely sighted. The energetic signature off of this when it comes into the reds, the pinks, the whites, and then the yellows is very high activity. Normally you'd see the blues, the purples, the greens, but when it does reach this pinkish, you know that there is an enormous amount of energetic particles following the magnetic field lines down the top of our planet. And off to the left there, the pink and the white are intertwining field-aligned currents. It's so visible. That is just an amazing shot. And further down the mountain range, look at the yellows and the whites. That is intense activity. And the visual form of Ayers Rock. Don't think you can climb that one. It's all particles. Remember, during the Carrington event, they saw red aurora in Cuba, which would have been white everywhere else in the northern hemisphere, pure energy. But in the beginning of the event, before it actually amplified to its highest electrical activity, they started to see mind-bending greens. So as a random visitor on a tour, you'd have to ask, is this normal? Probably not. They would have seen something in a once-in-a-generation type of event here. And it does make you wonder, with all the extremes going on, what is the trigger and why now? And another important caveat with that would be, do governments know what's happening? And this is the reason that our world is being changed so significantly right now, is because of these changes inbound from electromagnetic changes on the sun that are now affecting our entire solar system and our planet. The uptick is undeniable. Now food production is being affected. Southern hemisphere, there's an enormous amount of water vapor that's now transitioned and transited over the equator. Last readings in July were 35 north is where the water vapor has moved across the southern hemisphere, across the equator, up to. And we're starting to see some real amazing particulate events. So what was that event that got memory hold? Remember the eruption in Tonga? International Space Station went over that every 1.5 hours for days, weeks, months, and we only have a few photos, just a small handful. But the ejecta was so large after day 1 and 2 that I think, can't see that. Global populace will understand food production, southern hemisphere is being greatly affected. So what was it? Tonga eruption confirmed as the largest ever recorded. Well, the largest ever recorded is right there, Krakatau, and also I don't see Tambora, which created the year without a summer, but perhaps they're just measuring water vapor in this. NIWA, that's the New Zealand Weather Bureau. They did some optical aerosol thickness, and then suddenly their information feed stopped as well. But take into consideration, the Tonga eruption was nearly twice the size as Pinatubo, and Pinatubo cooled our planet 0.7 degrees Celsius, so you would expect something to happen in the atmosphere with all those particulates up there. We have sulfur dioxide, the ash, and the water vapor as well. Apparently it was the largest and highest water vapor eruption ever recorded because it was in the ocean, not on land. So with more particulates and cloud building possibilities with more water vapor in our atmosphere, you would expect more floods and more massive extreme events. And let's just jump over to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, on the way to Mecca. 7 inches of rain in just 6 hours, 3 times the annual mean. So highlighted in blue in the paragraph below, 179 millimeters of rain compared to the average for an entire year of 55.6. It's actually a little more than 3x of the annual rainfall. This would be expected as the amplification continues and our jet streams and cloud cells move to different locations. They're not locked in tight anymore with Earth's magnetic field. But if you are a fan of weather maps like I am, we're looking at the Red Sea right there, and you'll see where all the activity is. Now, interestingly, this is where the frankincense route had moved along the coast from Yemen. If you go a little bit further south, you come to Yemen and Port Aden. Now, what's interesting also is AccuWeather. They're covering the same exact story, but they left out the 3 years worth of rain in a single event. They gave you the 179 millimeters. They upped it to 60 millimeters per year instead of 55. But I found this in paragraph 9 or so of their feed, but you can see how much water had come down in the desert. It's just interesting how the headlines being compared are slightly different depending on where you go. And jumping over to the Watchers, great compilation site of extreme weather events across the planet. Record-breaking rains. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. It seems that AccuWeather missed that little snippet. And moving over to Italy, Ischia, what it looks like in the tourist brochures, beautiful waters, and that bridge leads out to this fortification of centuries prior. But we find another Exact same event, 1 inch per hour coming down out of the sky, 6 inches of rain in 6 hours. 155 millimeters, 6.1 inches, 6 hours. This seems to be the new normal of building. Now imagine if that's snow, you're going to get 6 feet of snow in 6 hours. And we just saw what happened with Buffalo, all-time largest, deepest amounts of lake effect snow in a single snowstorm. But here's AccuWeather with a little bit different total on that, with 5 inches of rain in 6 hours. So I don't know how the Bureau of Meteorology in Italy can be confused when they had very definite numbers of 155 millimeters equals 6.1 inches of rain, but AccuWeather somehow pops it in and says only 5. Are they downplaying that like the USGS downgrades earthquakes? And if we do look at Ischia, average monthly rainfall, 4.2 inches on the 30-year average. So this is more than a month's worth of rain in a single event. So we're starting to see this months and years worth of rain in single events, which was forecast to intensify as this grand solar minimum intensified as well. Now again, I'll take you back. World events, what's happening right now. If you look at it in just a rational sense, you can say this world is insane. But if you look at it in the sense of these cycles are known, the effects of our sun's magnetic field declining will have an effect on our planet's magnetic field and the way the jet streams and cloud cells move amongst themselves. Everything we say is overlapping on this time period. So everything that we see in terms of events across the planet, possibly as distractions, are overlapping as this is intensifying. Now the ultimate where it is supposed to reach by the year 2030, hence the Adapt 2030 channel name, we'll have to adapt our food growing strategies before 2030 for humanity to live through this. They're forecasting a decade worth of rain in a single event. That's where it goes to at the apex of this. Currently Saudi Arabia, 3 years worth of rain in an event. They have to add another 7 years worth of rain to an event. And we're going to be getting hailstones the size of bowling balls. This is what is forecasted, the ultimate of where this goes to based on prior grand solar minimums and what was recorded with extremes in the weather at that point. In the 1600s, they have accounts of hailstones so large that it pounded wooden buildings into the ground with such ferocity that when people would look out across the landscape, they didn't even see that there was a village there once more. It was smashed into smithereens and pounded into the mud where there was very little visible remnants of what was once a standing village. These are the types of events that occur, and we're not even anywhere close to it yet. So once you put that, balance into play, all right, we're losing crops in the southern hemisphere because of the water vapor right now, and I've done several videos on this. You can go back through the playlist. The amount of crops not going into the ground is going to affect global totals of yield of soy, wheat, corn, millet, sorghum, amaranth, and these other crops that would be grown as food staples. And then we have all the shortages and everything that we see happening in the northern hemisphere, grain corridors and non-planting for winter wheat in Ukraine. Corn's not going to be planted next year in Ukraine either. So once you start to see all of these things overlapping and dovetailing, you really have to ask yourself, with all the movements of where we were in 2019 and 20 until now, this great change, shall we say, the statistical possibility of all the amplification and uptick of these weather events, overlapping on the changes that we're seeing societally, you have to know that they're related at this point. Statistically, it's a nigh impossibility that this would be occurring at the exact same years, within 2-year window that this is all occurring. Just have to ask yourself, look at it from a different lens of not enough food on the planet. Digital rationing cards as the central bank digital currencies are unveiled. And staying in Italy, Stromboli saying, hey, good morning. Pressure coming out of that. Well, that's one of the world's most active volcanoes anyway. But I think you need little more than an umbrella to survive that. And moving over to more extremes with particulates in the atmosphere, southern U.S. storm forecast to unleash many months worth of snow. New Mexico, Texas, inbound as we speak. So think about that. Now we're coming to this snow with the exact same event. Months worth in a single storm. And if you do stay with the watchers and come onto their related articles below some of the feeds here, Inland tsunami, dams are breaking. New South Wales, and also fourth one over to the right, their crops are a complete wipe-off. They've had once in a 1,000-year rainstorm, 3 storms this season. Floods in Sudan, Chad, Gabon, and Nigeria, millions evacuated. Pakistan, unprecedented floods. Iguazu waterfalls, South America, overflowing 10x the normal flow. And unprecedented floods. Africa, South America, Middle East, Europe, and North America. So what is happening right now to cause all of these floods across the entire planet? And speaking of cool places, let's go over into the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. Another volcano coming to life. There's a lot of pressure under the planet. Well, the crust is electromagnetically triggered, and if our sun steps down and changes, we would also expect more volcanic activity and earthquakes, would we not? There's a relationship there. Perhaps it's all related. This is what Ransom Godwin and myself talk about every Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight, Revolution Radio Studio A. Join us there. I'll put the links in the community tab before we start so you can join us on any one of 8 streaming platforms. And if you're looking for storable foods, My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030. That link's in the description box below, along with all of tonight's images, stories, videos, so you can do your own research, follow up. I do appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.